It's difficult enough for anybody, like who's considering to be an artist of any sort, of writer, a musician, an actor, a singer. It's very difficult. It's very rewarding. It's very challenging. Okay, fine. But let's take the black singer, the black popular singer, and the black actor. The difference between the two. Black singers can be millionaires by the time they're 25 years old, because they don't have white people looking over their shoulder telling them what to do, how to write the songs. They sing a song they like. They sing it for their people. They don't make the songs for white people. They make the songs for black people. And black people go out and buy them by the millions. Keep in mind that black people are 30%, fully 30% of the motion picture audience. American movie-going audience is black. 30%. That means that 30% of the actors should be black. 30% of the movies should be black. 30% of the movie stars should be black. All things being equal, not so. In music, you can do that because you just go into a studio, a little place somewhere, and you cut this master tape, and they print out some records, and it goes to a record store, and they hype it on the black radio stations, and somebody becomes a millionaire, and they deserve it. Well, that's all I ever want to do as a black actor. I never wanted to try and please white people in Kansas. I mean, if I would like to be every man. I would like to think that my artistry, my education, I have a fairly decent education in Western literature and so forth. I would like to think, that my talents are universal and apply to everyone. But I didn't create this scenario. My desire was to function within the system as it exists, not as it ought to be. And the way it is, and it's a racist system. I said, okay, how about separate but slightly unequal? So you be Clark Gable and Gone with the Wind, and I'll be Doc Gable and Cooling It with the Breeze. I have no problem with that. They have a problem with that. You know why? Because movies require theaters to exhibit them. And there's a limited number of theaters, and their schedules are limited. If these theaters are tied up with black films that will never, ever make as much money as a white film does, okay, they lose money. They control the theaters by, there's a sort of mutual blackmail that goes on. Major studios can tell the theater chains, Walter Reed, Walter Mann, blah, blah, they can tell them, I want you to take this dog of a picture so I can bail out and get my money out of it. If you want the next Star Wars, if you want the next Superman, if you want the next whatever, Twister, if you want that film, you got to show this dog, And so they have a working relationship like that. And it's a vicious working, it's a power trip. There's little room for the black producer and a black film in that. What we need are places to exhibit our films. We need to find a way to be able to take our 30% away from them and say, well, okay, look, we'll do our thing. Just the rappers, those rappers in Brooklyn, they didn't care nothing about white people or any kind of people who are not about what they're about. They would go in the garage and record a rap song and then go to an underground station and get the rap thing on. Everyone said, oh, they're not ever going to go anywhere. Ha ha. Can we talk? Can we talk about it? They are not going anywhere. Black people are hungry for entertainment. And black people, I just did the original Gangsters with Fred Williamson, Jim Brown, and we didn't play many engagements. And the film didn't do an incredible amount of money, but people, and the budget wasn't large enough, frankly. But I watched audiences watch that film, and I heard people come up to me and say, "Man, it was good to see you on the screen again." They enjoyed seeing us on the screen. Richard Roundtree, Pam Grier, you know, they enjoyed seeing us, and it's hard to sit here in my apartment, and be interviewed for my autobiography. I feel like it's my epitaph, not my autobiography. It's not even my autobiography. It's a interview, really, and I'm getting to the point of it. I guess it's so clear. Black people are 30% of the audience, but white people pick the plots, the stories, and the heroes they want, and they fit black people as they can, carefully and comfortably, into their sense of reality, into their sense of what is real. So that the black person you see on the screen is the person is a black person as seen by them, be he hero or villain, be he deserving of either a pat on the head or the utter damnation of a law and order, the trouble they've had with Ali, the trouble they have with Dennis Rodman, the trouble they have with black athletes, and the black baseball players who started getting uppity and they want all this money. They demand the same things that everybody else is getting. They've had trouble dealing with black athletes with their ego and their business sense and their refusal to knuckle under, to be good old boys. All right? And I ain't never been good at being a good old boy, which is why I ain't been on the interview in 3 years. Something in trying to describe this business, and it's difficult to describe because it's not an exact science, but something that happened to me along the way occurs to me. I did a television miniseries called Freedom Road, written by Howard Fast. It was probably the greatest role I have ever read for a black actor. It was based on Frederick Douglass, and it starts out in the slave days, and he's a D's and Dem and Does and Yassa guy, completely illiterate, and never been more than 10 feet from his plantation, and ends up many years later, he's Frederick Douglass, and he's a senator, U.S. senator, debating and whatnot, and he sounds like William F. Buckley. So the actor had to range from D's, Dem, and Does, and then be able to play. He had to be young enough to play the young 25-ish, 25, or something like that, and then play 60, 65, okay, and speak like William F. Buckley. Total different. I mean, the range is from here to there. I mean, it's a kind of role. Understand? There was no possibility of me playing this part. I don't look right for the part. Unfortunately, I really can't play everything. But it was a terrifying role. I mean, it's something like playing Cyrano de Bergerac or something like that, of that ilk. And I read it. I was so excited. And I was asked to play a high yellow politician of the day, a well-educated, light-skinned black of the day. And I come to find out that the project, they elected to star Muhammad Ali in the project. Well, when I went in to meet with the producer, I asked him, those of you who are actors will smile at this, I know, but I really wanted to know. And I said, tell me something. This role being as difficult and as wonderful as it is, why on earth would you ever cast, great a heavyweight fighter as he is, and all that, why would you ever cast Muhammad Ali in this part? This is the role that would tax the ability of any highly trained and experienced actor. It's a wonderful, marvelous role. Why would you cast Muhammad Ali? He says to me, Ron, well, you don't understand that there's business reasons for that. I said, oh, I understand business. I said, I've directed 2 pictures. I've produced 2 pictures. I know about foreign markets and all that stuff. You know, I mean, I'm no expert, but I know I can carry on a reasonable conversation about it. I understand. I said, well, we need a name. We need Muhammad Ali's name. See, because this movie's pre-sold in the European market. We don't even care what the Americans think about it. We're going to make our money in Germany, Hungary, Poland, blah, 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 and so forth. I said, that's very interesting. I said, and I said this, I said, well, I have to say this because I'm a little outraged. Not only that, but I'm outraged. So do you have any idea how important and wonderful this story is to me and to all black people and hopefully even to all Americans? This is a kind of a story that is never told about black people. To see the rise of this man and the eloquence he has at the end of the speech. And it's not fiction. This really was a real person. You know, for you to cast a prize fighter who can barely speak, you know, and I mean, I say this with humility, but I mean, when you're talking about acting, Muhammad Ali can barely speak, okay? And why would you do that? I said, I told you, it's for business reasons. I said, really? I said, well, let me ask you then this, Zev, you're Jewish, right? He said, right. I said, a similar miniseries. I said, why is it when you do your stories get one standard, our stories there's always a reason for them being a bunch of crap. I said, I haven't got the job yet. Keep in mind, I'm there for my first interview. He said, what do you mean? I said, when you tell your story, Holocaust or Holocaust, I've seen that 3 times. It's one of the finest miniseries I've ever seen. And it won all kinds of awards. It's generated all kinds of income, runs, reruns, reruns. I said, okay, answer me quick, Zev. And you're Jewish, and it's Holocaust, and it's about your story and your plight with the Nazis in Germany and Poland and every place. Who was the star of Holocaust? Name me one actor who was in Holocaust. And he couldn't. He said, come on, Zev. I said, I can name one. Michael Moriarty, most famous person. You know, about the only person I ever heard of in it. And I knew him from New York. But at that time, I don't think anybody in Kansas knew who Michael Moriarty was. You know, I could be wrong. I said, but they didn't need, following your logic, to get to the point, following your logic, why didn't y'all cast the second most famous person in the world at that time was Joe Namath? Why didn't you cast Joe Namath in a principal role, in the thing? I mean, he's doing the stocking commercials. He was the great quarterback. He predicted the Jets were going to win the first Super Bowl game, and he wore out, who was it, the Colts, I think? I said, I mean, it's instant box office. Joe Namath. How come you all didn't cast Joe Namath? And you know what the guy looked at me and said? He said, Ron, you want this job or not? It pays $2,500 a week. You want it? Take it or leave it. I said, I'll take it, sir. Thank you, sir. And what happened was, of course, along the way, it was fine when the field hand part came, but then regrettably, box office and all that is fine, but when it came time, when he got elected, and the script had all these statistics and political situations of, you know, the ramifications of the elections and how close they were to winning and losing and who was running here and all this and the Democrats, Republicans, up, down, left, right. I mean, there were speeches that long in it. And Muhammad Ali could not learn them. Not only could he not learn them, he could not say them, regrettably. Okay? And I have great respect for Muhammad Ali as a person, but he was out of his field. I mean, I just might as well have gotten in the ring with Muhammad Ali myself, you know, and he probably would have said, Ronald is a pretty good athlete, but he don't want to be in the ring with me. He's got me outweighed by 50 pounds, you know, whatever. Okay, so what it ended up was whatever they paid him which was considerable. Every morning when I came, they had yellow pages of his dialogue rewrites. He couldn't say it. They paid me $2,500 a week to play this supporting role and stand around. I wasn't supposed to have to work hard. Every morning they handed me his speeches and wrote them into my character. Had me walk in the door and say, you know what just happened? In Norfolk this happened. In Charleston that happened, and so forth. The Democrats and the Republicans. I had to learn it that morning. They didn't give it to me the night before. They kept trying to get Ali to learn it. And Ali come and said, man, I can't say that stuff. Let Ron O'Neal say that. I got $2,500 a week. The show went down the tubes. They ended up, I saw it. I stayed up to see it. They showed it in L.A. the first time at 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay.
I've seen it video stores. I've never read it.
Okay. Well, there's some interesting things in there. It showed up, but they played it at 3 o'clock in the morning. In a word, this is where my career, this is where the careers of black actors have gone. As long as they are deciding our fate and our destiny. And I don't mean this if it sounds militant, I'm militant. I'm for blacks. I'm not against whites. I'm for blacks. That they can't write for me. They can't sing for me. They can't dance for me. They can't do nothing for me. Nor can, they don't want me doing their thing, And until that happens, they're going to decide which one of us are cute, which one of us are funny, which one of us can dance, and which one of us are acceptable as leading men actors. And which white men are acceptable for our black leading men actors to act with or under or in concert with. And I think that's about it. I've about said it. I don't think I can say it much any clearer than that.
That's good.